what's up, everyone? Sam Shaw here, founder of Wall Street Mastermind. I am excited to be here today with another client interview for you guys. Today we have Zolio on with us, and Zolio has an amazing story, and he just finished his summer 2023 recruiting process. Was able to successfully get an offer from JPMorgan, and it was just a great outcome, and I was super happy for him. But I want to get him on here and talk to you guys about how he was able to do that, and just share some insights that will hopefully help you with your own processes as well. Okay, so Zolio, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. And if you don't mind, maybe you can start off by just quickly introducing yourself so that our audience knows kind of who you are.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. So I'm Zolio Batista. I'm a sophomore at FIU studying finance, and I'm also minoring in economics. And I'm originally from the Dominican Republic, and I moved to United States when I was 17 years old. I came across the Wall Street Mastermind thanks to one of my friends at FIU. He introduced me to the program, and I immediately clicked with it. I really felt like I wanted to get sort of a better experience, more personalized experience during this recruitment process. I wanted to know what to do or how to perform in order for me to stand out in the applications, considering that recruiting for investment bank is very competitive. So after that, started recruiting, following Sam's and the whole team's instructions, and I had the opportunity to interview with JPMorgan for the office in San Francisco for the tech group, and I secured the offer. So yeah, pretty excited to be here and share my story.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I remember you came in because someone else referred you. We worked with several people from FIU now, though. Who exactly was your friend? Was it Yan, or was it
It was Valeria.
Oh, it was Valeria. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah, she's the OG. She was the first one, and then she brought a bunch of other people in.
Yeah.
So okay, that's awesome. So I guess take me back to the beginning, because you joined like February. It was like only 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And at that point, it was like you were already a sophomore. Recruiting had obviously already started because it starts super early now. Up to that point, prior to joining Wall Street Mastermind, like, what were some of the things, if anything, but what were some of the things that you were already doing on your own as far as like recruiting goes? Or was it that like when you joined Wall Street Mastermind was when you really first started working on recruiting?
Yeah, of course. So before Wall Street Mastermind, as you said, I joined in February. I had in mind like just that I needed to do and get experience in the workplace. I had done several internships, and I knew that I needed to start ready to decide what field I was gonna go into, because I didn't know investment banking was the right path towards me. It was when Valeria actually introduced me to investment banking with one of the tags our investment fund, and I also had the chance to meet with the managing director that visited us, who was an FIU alum. And he basically, like, that's when I decided that I needed to sort of like pace up and start working and grinding and do everything I needed to do to be competitive and for this role. So that's why I decided to join as soon as like right after Valeria presented me this program.
Got it. Okay. So pretty much you hadn't really done too much up until that point, up
Yeah.
until like February of sophomore year. And then you joined Wall Street Mastermind. Now, obviously, I know Valeria told you about it, but like, were you skeptical at all when you were like looking at this program? Like, were you like, this is too good to be true? Like, walk us through kind of like your decision-making process on like why you decided to do this.
Yeah,
Like,
of
why
course.
don't you just do it on your own, for example, right?
Yeah. So I had two examples that like kind of like made me realize that this was the place for me to be. So first, Valeria, she was a junior, kind of like already turning to her senior year, and she was a pre-med or like a nutrition major or something related. Like it was nothing related to finance, and she changed her major, joined the program, and secured an offer with a Bush bracket. So that was very like impressive for me to see, especially since um she secured a full-time opportunity. It was not like the internship, so it's way harder.
Yeah.
And then after that, I had the chance to speak with Alex, who is another alumni. When I scheduled the call, and just the way he expressed himself, answered the questions, and the professionalism that he exhibited, like showing me the technical and how to properly answer a technical question, it just made me realize that I needed to like there was a lot for me to work on, and I knew that being in the program, seeing these two examples, I knew that like that's when that's how I like that's what I needed to like for me to like achieve that goal.
Got it. Okay. So basically, you knew Valeria personally, and you had a conversation with Alex, and like knowing these two people that have gone through the program and seeing kind of where they are at versus like where you're trying to go, that was like enough to basically like you had seen enough, basically, like you saw everything you needed to see. Okay, that makes sense. So you come into this program 3 months ago. You're basically kind of starting from the beginning, right? Like you said, you haven't really done that much up to that point. Walk us through like the past 3 months, like what your life has been like. Like,
Yeah, of
what
course.
was it like going through recruiting, and what were some of the things you did while you were in the program, and like what did you find to be the most helpful?
Yeah, of course. So as soon as I joined the program, I knew that I needed to grind. There's a lot of material for me to cover, a lot of stuff that I needed to work on a daily basis. I feel like that, as well as being on top of my school, being on top of my two internships, the private equity internship, and another one that I had that basically like helped me just cover my personal finances. And it was just like managing everything and still like having time to eat, like eat good, have a good rest, basically have a balanced lifestyle. It was definitely the most challenging part. um and going through the modules, it was just very helpful, like seeing how everything um like related to each other, and how everything like everything like escalated, and it was just very efficient. Like the program, it was just a perfect fit. Like within those 3 months, I managed to like those some weekends I had to stay in, and I couldn't go out, or some days I had to grind schoolwork, and I also had to grind the modules. So it was just something, like it really taught me a lot to myself. It taught me a lot of how to have determination, and basically how to have resilience. Because even though like I had so much stuff in my plate, I managed to like see and like be efficient with it. So
Yeah.
that's a pretty much like how my 3 months were.
Yeah. And I guess like it's exactly what it's exact. I think it's exactly what you just talked about that makes something like Wall Street Mastermind so logical, right? Is that when you really think about all the things that you have on your plate as a college student who's trying to recruit for investment banking, and you think about all the boxes that you need to check, you got to keep your grades up, right? You got to, and I would say like your GPA is like, it's not bad, but it's not like a 4.0, right? Like it's not like, I wouldn't say it's like, I would say it's like average, right? And so it's like you had to keep your grades, definitely like where it was, if not hopefully raise it. You had to, you're in this like investment club at school. You got to dedicate time to that. You're doing, sounds like, 2 internships at the same time. You're networking with bankers. You're prepping for interviews. Like it's just a lot.
Yeah.
Just a lot. You only have 24 hours in a day, and like imagine if some or all of those things that you were doing took twice as long, or took 3 times as long, simply because you don't know what you're doing, or simply because you have to do a lot of experimentation. You have to do a lot of trial and error. then I don't think we would be sitting here today, right? Like, or I'm not saying you would never get into investment banking. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't, but certainly not like 3 months in, 3 months after you started, sitting here with a top tier offer at like one of the top 3 banks in the world.
100%.
Yeah. So I think like that's the thing that most people need to realize is that when it comes to investment banking recruiting, like there's a lot of urgency in terms of like the sooner you can get the offer, the better the offer is going to be typically, right? Like elite boutiques typically finish recruiting first, then the bulge bracket banks, and then like pretty soon here, we're in late May. I think pretty soon here, a lot of the bulge bracket banks will be done. And then at that point, you're left with the middle market banks. And then after that, regional boutiques, like you're just going to go further and further downstream, right? So, so yeah, I think efficiency is the name of the game. Now, one thing I want to ask you is like, because I mean, going to FIU, and that's Florida International for people who are not familiar, like you guys aren't really a target school, right? Definitely not for JPMorgan.
No.
And so, I mean, are there other people you know that like got into JPMorgan your year?
Nah, from FIU, I haven't met anybody. Like everyone that I networked with was like, I mean, at least in investment banking, there's no bankers from FIU as of now.
So you're the first one.
Technically, yeah. I mean, that's active at least. Yes.
Right. That you're aware of, or that you've
Yeah.
seen on LinkedIn. So here's the question, right? There are a lot of people that are probably following us or listening to us or watching this that also go to a non-target school, and they're probably running into this issue where they know they're supposed to network, but they don't have any alumni at those banks. So like, I'm sure you had to deal with that all the time too.
Yeah.
How did you overcome that?
Yeah, I feel like it all comes down to things, the networking process, and it also has to do with how to stand out from the application itself. So it'll have from the networking process side, I would say like trying to get referrals, like trying to meet as many bankers as you have so they can know your name. If like I've heard that JPMorgan doesn't have a referral system, but like that's not confirmed. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
But still, like the bankers like go through resumes and stuff. Like if they see a name that they're familiar with, they're definitely gonna push that resume up. So I feel like definitely like networking is a key essential factor that everyone that's going through recruiting should be focusing on.
Yeah.
And also the part of the application process, I feel like the cover letter and your resume need to be perfectly formatted, need to be specific, and need to be investment banking oriented, so that when recruiters or bankers see it, they're not seeing just a regular scholar. Because at the end of the day, everyone in this industry should be smart, but like what makes you stand out, what's gonna make you an effective and an efficient investment banker, so that's what they're trying to look at, especially if it's at a top bulge bracket firm. So that was my mindset trying going in. I wanted to be as specific as I can and showing every bank that I was gonna interview with that they were special for me, and that I was interested in them. So basically that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you're absolutely right. Basically, in summary, you can still network with bankers even if they don't go to your school. It is harder, no doubt, because you don't have like that, built-in connection with them of saying, hey, I went to your school. But if you know what you're doing, you can still connect with them. You can still have great conversations. You can still make yourself stand out. And that's pretty much how you were able to get this interview, right? Because also this is for the tech group in SF, which is on completely opposite coasts of the country from where you go to school. So it's like, they're definitely not typically recruiting from FIU, I don't think, right? Was this JPMorgan interview your first interview? Was that like the first one you interviewed with, or?
Nah, it was not. Deutsche Bank was actually the first one that I interviewed with.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And so this was the second?
This was my third.
Okay.
I had a first round with Deutsche Bank and I had a first round with UBS.
Okay. Got it. So let's talk about like the interview portion real quick. You hadn't done any interview prep yet as of like February when you came in, right?
Yeah.
You're basically like learning everything from scratch. It sounds like you definitely like put in the work. You were like staying in on the weekends. You were grinding this on top of your classes and so on and so forth. But like, how long did it take you to like get to the point where you felt like, okay, I'm fully prepared. I'm confident. Like I'm in a good spot. Like, do you have like a rough estimate for, I don't know, number of hours or however you want to measure it?
Yeah, I feel like definitely going as soon as I finished like prepping my resume and finished the first two modules. I feel like the first module, the especially the attitude and the personality module, I feel like it's very important. I took a lot of time on that. And like I would like go back and like actually like because it mentalizes you, you know, like it puts you in the good status of like going through this.
Yeah.
Um but I feel like the behavioral module it took me longer because like I would have to go and try to like create my answers and then fix it and then shape it towards whichever bank I was interviewing with, and like that took me like around 2 weeks for me to like feel like prepare like I was like out perfect on
Yeah.
that. And the technical module was easier. However, like I walked in without like knowing anything related to technicals. Like I walked in being a sophomore and I hadn't taken any finance courses. So like I didn't know how to walk through a DCF. Like I remember once a banker asked me that on a regular chat, like on a regular quick phone call. He asked me that and I couldn't answer, and I felt really bad, and that's what like I really like um, knew and realized that I needed to like paste up. So I think I finished my technicals in like around 4 days. In 4 days, I finished the whole technical module, and yeah, like it was first 2 days, and I had an interview, and then the week after that, I finished it.
Got it. Okay. So you were like kind of like cramming because you had an interview coming up.
Yeah.
Was this for DB or for UBS?
So no, the banker that I talked to, that I spoke with, he was from Barclays.
Okay.
Yeah, but that was like in March. Like it was way before I started like even interviewing.
Yeah. Oh, but I thought you said like you studied for 2 days and then you had an interview and then you.
Oh yeah. I that was for Deutsche Bank. For Deutsche Bank.
So
But like,
basically, your
uh-huh.
first interview was with DB, and then you're like, "Oh, shit, I have an interview coming up. I gotta like hurry up and learn this stuff."
Yes.
so, so you crammed for 2 days, and then you had the interview, and then what? Like, I guess you didn't move on for that one. It sounds
Yeah,
like.
like my behavior that it was only behaviorals.
Okay.
And that interview went. I remember. You remember? I told you that I thought it went pretty well.
Yeah.
The banker really he would like agree with everything I would say. He would like tell me that he really liked my answers, but I ended up not moving on to the other round. And they emailed me like the next day of the interview.
Got
And
it.
it was pretty shocking. It was that was like a really like low point because like if I got rejected by Deutsche Bank, I was like, wow, like
Yeah.
my first round, like that was my first interview. Like I didn't even get to Super Day. So I was like really down, but my family and like just like going back to the first module, like that just reassured me more. Like it just created an impulse in me and made me just like try to grind harder and work harder to what I wanted.
Yeah, I was gonna say too. I think a lot of people think that like investment banking is like all rainbows and butterflies, but like in reality,
Yeah.
it almost certainly is not. For most people, I tell all of my students is like for most people, you're gonna experience some form of rejection or setbacks along the way, right? Like we've coached over 500 students now, and like I can probably count on one hand, probably less than one hand, how many students went through the entire recruiting process without getting a single rejection. It's just like almost does not happen. It's like the chances are the selectivity is too high. Like the acceptance rate is so low that like sometimes you can do well and still it might not be good enough. Right. But I think like what I always tell people too is like, even if you fall, like you just gotta make sure you're falling forward. Right. If nothing else, the DB interview, like you got an additional rep in with interviewing, but also, you got good feedback on your behavioral answers, which was a good thing. And then also like, if nothing else, it served as a forcing function for you to like hurry up and learn all your technicals, right? And then like
Yeah.
by the time you had your next interview after that with UBS and then like eventually with JPMorgan, it was like by then you were probably fully ready. Right.
Yeah, like I also think like if with Deutsche Bank, like if I were to like advance to another round, I don't think I would have performed that well in the Super Day. Like after that, I had my interview with UBS and I was like almost there. Like I was almost there to having everything like perfect. And it was good. Like I answered everything good. They both liked my answers because there were two interviews for that first round. It was two phone interviews back to back with a managing director and then an analyst, both FIU alumni too. So like they liked me. Um, and the next week, like I remember it was Cinco de Mayo. I was out. I was out with my friends, and I received an email from the recruiter from JP Morgan trying to schedule an interview for the very next day. So it was like everything like happened so fast, and like I was just okay, like this is my chance. Like JP Morgan wasn't my ideal employer like since I started recruiting.
Yeah.
And like it just happened to land there.
Wow. Okay. So when you got the JPMorgan offer, you were still waiting to hear back from UBS?
Yes, I'm still here. I'm still waiting for it. I'm still waiting for to tell him that I would pursue it.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Well, I guess when they do respond, you can tell them you snooze, you lose, right?
Yeah.
So like, what do you think it was that helped you pass the JPMorgan interview? Because I gotta say, like, I'm familiar with the JPMorgan tech office. Like, we have another client go there a couple of years ago from University of Washington. It's also not really a target school, but at least it's on the West Coast. But like most of the people in the office are from schools like Stanford and UC Berkeley and like these West Coast target schools, right? So like, what do you think? Why do you think you were able to get one of the offers, like over probably a lot of these other kids that, at least on paper, maybe seem to have more pedigree, right? Maybe they go to a better school or have higher GPAs or whatever. Like, what do you think? What do you think went well for you?
I just feel like when it comes to the interview, like you're already like if they invite you to the interview, they think already you're fit and you are like you have the requirements to do the job. So I'm a genuine believer that when you get to do an interview, your point of the interview, like your goal should be for them to like you. So that's what I was like aiming for. Like I was trying to like show a lot of empathy, trying to just be myself, but as well as professional and try to answer the questions that they would ask me, like just like being professional and showing like that I'm able to compete.
Yeah.
And just like showing ambition. Like I that's something that I really like would like to highlight about my interview process for JP Morgan. I show a lot of ambition, and I feel like they liked a lot that because they would ask me questions about like, oh, like um are you sure you want to be in a role where you're exposed to like long hours of work and a lot of like it's a really high paced environment. And I would just say like I want to be exposed to that because I want to get as much growth as possible. I want to be able to learn and develop my career professionally and personally as much as I can. And they would just like wink at me and smile and just say like, yeah, like that's great. And they would like just agree with me. And like it was just perfect. Like I really enjoy interviewing with these people. I wasn't even nervous for that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Um, I guess like, if because a lot of students, when they haven't been through Wall Street Mastermind yet and they're on the outside looking in, I think the biggest question that a lot of people have is like, what is the difference between what I would do in Wall Street Mastermind versus what I could just do on my own? Because like, isn't all the information out there already? You know, like, can't I just go on Google or YouTube or I don't know, talk to some upperclassmen and just like figure it all out? Like, what now that you've gone through it and you're on the other side, I think like in hindsight is 2020. So like if you look back, was there a difference or like I don't know, like could you have done everything that you did if you just kind of went through this process alone, or like if not, like what was the difference?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like there are a lot of things that differentiate be in this program or not. But I feel like one important part is like just the community that the program involves, being able to speak with a lot of like alumni in the Slack. Just there's like 24/7 people going through the same um, um, recruitment timeline as you, people that haven't even started, talking to the coaches, getting mentorship with answers. That just environment really shapes your view and really shapes your performance, because at the end of the day you're involved with these people 24/7. There's always people communicating ideas, communicating questions, communicating things that they saw, and it's just a high learning environment. And I feel like if you like you may talk with a managing director, you may talk with an alum, but like you don't have that platform with you along the way. And I feel like that's priceless, like I feel like that's something that I really value. And I just feel like the personalized experience of you being there, like realizing every action and every circumstances that would happen along the way of every student's path, like that's also priceless. I feel like it shapes a lot on the on the results. And I feel like if a student doesn't have that, like they're gonna struggle more, because they're gonna take time, and they're gonna have to get a rejection for them to realize what they're doing wrong. I feel like that's what I value the most.
Yeah, that's true. It's just I think first of all, the community aspect is huge, right? Like, especially if you go to a non-target school like FIU, sure, you have like the people in the investment club that you're in, but not everyone in that club is getting into banking, right? And actually, a lot of people that are in that club that are getting into banking are working Wall Street Mastermind. Um, but like, just you don't have the same environment that maybe someone who goes to like Wharton or Berkeley or like any of these like very highly targeted schools would have, right? Where like they have a lot more resources than you would have, and even like surrounding yourself with like-minded people that elevates your own game, right? Because you see what everyone else is doing, that's motivating. And also just through osmosis, like even learning, not even like even if you don't have questions, like seeing the questions that other people are asking and like being able to learn from other people's questions, that accelerates your learning, right? And so like environment is so important, right? And then like I think like yeah, in terms of the personalized experience that you talked about, is like it has to be personalized, right? Everybody's recruiting journey is different. Everyone runs into different challenges. Everyone has different strengths and weaknesses, and so that's why we have to make it a personalized process. Like if I feel like a lot of people are using like these one size fits all approaches of like everyone's reading the same interview guide and everyone's like memorizing the same answers. Everyone believes that, oh, for this behavioral question, you should just say these things. And then like that's actually like what you should do if you don't want to stand out like at all. Like you want to just sound like everybody else.
Exactly.
Right. So I think those are all really good points. I guess, last question for you. Do you have like one piece of advice that you want to share with people? Maybe other non-target school students like you who are wanting to get into investment banking.
Yeah, of course. So I would say definitely put time into the recruitment timeline. Try to grind and do your due diligence with networking. Also learning your behaviorals and technicals ahead of time. Just trying to prepare as much as you can before the recruitment timeline actually starts, so you can dedicate more time to networking and actually like standing out. And like, because I feel like if I would have known that I want to do investment banking before, I feel like I would have aimed even higher to maybe an elite boutique, and or maybe just another type of firm. I'm really satisfied with what I have. JPMorgan has been one of my ideal employers. However, I think, as I mean, time is money. I feel like if somebody joins this program or decides to steps on recruiting ahead of time, they have all the odds like with them basically. So I would say just dedicate time, set aside your non-important things, and just basically that, just really like put time. I feel like time is a really valuable aspect in this process.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I mean, I always tell people I compare investment banking recruiting to like running a race. And to win a race, there's two ways. Like one, you can either run faster than other people, like you're just more athletic, you're just a faster runner. And then the other way is like maybe you're not, but you started running earlier, right? Like you got a head start.
Yeah.
And so getting a head start is kind of what you're talking about. And then like running faster, that's what we're here for. That's what we help you do, is like we help you run faster than you would be able to run on your own by making everything a lot more efficient, right? So it's like people that combine those two things obviously always get the best results. But even if you don't get a head start, now you're just trying to catch up to other people, then again, we can help you do that, right? We can help you run faster. We can help you catch up and even surpass your competition. And at the end of the day, that's kind of what this is. It's like, it's a competition. There's only so many jobs out there, and like who can get the jobs that are actually available, right? Before the recruiting timeline expires. So I think that's really good advice. So guys, I mean, for those of you that are still listening to this, you know, if you currently go to a non-target school, maybe like there's not a lot of people from your school that get into banking period, but like, and then you probably have similar issues where you try to network with these bankers and there's no alumni from your school. Like you have all the typical struggles that a non-target school student have. I want to encourage you to reach out to our team. Okay. Like we have an amazing track record helping non-target school students. Like we only less than half, I would say like 45% of our students actually go to target schools. That means 55% of them don't go to target schools. And despite that, and despite the fact that over 40% of our students don't have a 3.7 GPA, like they're lower than a 3.7, we still have an over 90% success rate, right? We're still the only company that offers a money back guarantee. And so like, bottom line is like, you owe it to yourself to at least explore this, to see what we might be able to do for you. We can't work with everybody, like we do vet the people that want to join the program. You do have to apply. We love working with people like Zolio, who clearly is like very ambitious, very motivated. Like once he got in, he was willing to like really grind it out and do all the work that we asked him to do. But like, if you have the work ethic that's required and you add that in with like, getting the best advice and best guidance from people like us who are super experienced, like there's no reason why you can't beat your competition, even if you are the underdog in the beginning, so if that's like resonates with you, I want to encourage you to book a call with our team to see if it's a good fit, because we got to learn more about your situation before we can determine that. So you can go to www.wallstreetmastermind.com/apply. The street's abbreviated to ST, so it's wallstmastermind.com/apply. And we look forward to talking to you. Okay, so with that said, Zola, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to share your experience with us today. And honestly, it's an amazing outcome, and I'm loving this little win streak we're on with FIU, with Valeria and Jesus going to Carlisle, and you going to JP, and it's just amazing. Like I think at this rate, eventually you guys will be a target school, so So anyway, but huge congrats to you, man. Like you worked hard. You totally deserve this. And I'm super happy for you. I can't wait to see what else you accomplish going forward. So
Of course. Thank you for having me.
yeah, absolutely. So guys, that's going to be it for this episode. We're going to wrap it up here. And thank you for tuning in. And until next time. All right.